Good evening, everyone. Did you know that guns kill approximately 30,000 people a year according to the CDC? Homicides ranking in at 15 out of 15. But what if we take a look at the percentage of these deaths that occur due to mental illness? Well, we can see that it's half. Intentional self-harm ranked in at number 10. So realistically, guns don't kill people, people do. If you take a look at slide 1, the Second Amendment was made to keep the security of a state free. It is documented in our Bill of Rights as Article number 2, and it simply states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, our forefathers thought about the necessities of our future nation. They perceived that our future citizens would have this right to keep this virtue. Let's take a look at what the Second Amendment means and how changing this could affect our personal freedom. The first time the U.S. Supreme Court directly addressed the Second Amendment occurred in 1939 in the United States versus Miller. The court held that the mandatory registration of shotguns required by the National Firearms Act was constitutional. Now, adding responsibility to this right keeps it necessary, but controlling it does not. And we all want our own personal protection for ourselves and our livelihood, but there are standards all gun owners must live by. It should be made mandatory for each and every gun owned to be registered. However, today it varies state to state. And although it is not illegal to leave your gun unlocked, it is a wise idea. Many people own guns for a specific purpose. They have them to protect their own from invasions against their property. And how many of you hunt for food, not just for game? This way of survival has been around since time began. Why should it be different today? If you look at slide 2, the statistical data. In metropolitan areas such as Dallas, Texas, gun laws have remained the same. According to the CDC in Dallas, there are approximately 257 related gun deaths each year. Think about the common sense of it. If you were to walk down the street and try to rob someone, who would you rob? Would you reach for the person armed or unarmed? Most criminals would rather make it quick and safely, and with someone armed, your chances for that are decreased. Now, in other metropolitan areas such as Long Island, New York, and northern New Jersey, they have limited firearm laws, and they are a much smaller area than Dallas. Here there are 1,212 related deaths from guns every year. Wow, that's a staggering number to think about. Now, in Kachelski versus Westchester County, New York, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, which was held November 27th, 2012, deemed that New York State's requirement for applicants to show proper cause to obtain a full carry handgun license does not violate the Second Amendment. Well, while the regulations do implicate the Second Amendment, they are subject only to intermediate scrutiny because they do not involve the core Second Amendment protection, namely self-defense in the home. So taking actions to ensure these rights do not dissipate fall on the responsibility of you. Now, today's politicians are trying to take away parts of this constitutional law. But we should first take a look at a few areas of concern. As stated before, a mental health issue accounts for half of the gun-related deaths yearly. This may need further investigation. Just to understand this statistic, more research should be done. And it may be beneficial to require completion of a safety class for permitting ownership of firearms. Currently, this is not a mandatory law. However, redirection of our nation's attention to points such as these well, they may help to lower gun-related deaths. Now, as in slide 3, every citizen has the right to join forces with our nation's government in times of war. If our country were to be overtaken by a foreign nation, how would you react? Would you want to have the right to fight against tyranny? Of course, not everyone is prone to take this position, but to have the right to decide is what our country stands for. This may never happen, but having access to personal firearms in desperate times should remain intact. Now, as in slide 4, the Second Amendment allows for all citizens to bear arms, to have this right, to protect, provide, and join forces in times of need. Looking at the statistics, we see that there is a genuine urgency to investigate causes and implement resources. So political stands on this position will only change when we, as citizens, speak out against the proposed changes to the Second Amendment. Thank you very much.